and welcome to an episode of the Jonah Keen Show on Radio Depaul. Welcome one and welcome all. For those who are tuning in for the very first time, you may be curious as to what the Jonah Keen Show is all about. Well, I'll tell you. Ever since I was a teenager, I've had an absolute passion for giving advice. Some kids did sports, some kids did theater, some kids did math club, but I did advice. In fact, I've been a certified advice giver for almost 10 years now. Good job, me. On the Jonah Keen Show, I'll be interviewing folks who have a wide range of expertise and advice to share. Also on the show, there will be some opportunities to call into the station and ask for your own personalized advice. Maybe you need some relationship advice. What about pet advice? Maybe you need some financial advice. Maybe you just need some good old-fashioned self-help advice. We take all kinds of requests for advice. My name is Jonah, Mr. Advice Keen, and welcome to the Jonah Keen Show. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Jonah Keen Show. A show all about advice, big and small, medium-sized, and other sizes of advice that are available as well. Welcome to the very first episode here on Radio Depaul. I'm Jonah Keen, the titular character of the Jonah Keen Show, which is what you're listening to right now. Before we get into anything else, I would like to talk about kind of the history of me, of Jonah Keen himself. You might want to know a little bit more about who you're getting your best advice from, and that is me. And here's a little history. I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. Go Pacers. And I lived there for a short while with my mom, dad, and brother. But my parents got into a divorce, which is, quite frankly, it was sad. Okay, here's some advice. Divorces are sad. Okay. After the divorce, I moved with my mom to Minnesota, and I spent most of my childhood up there. When I was 15, however, my mom died in a tragic freak zoo accident, which was really unfortunate, and it was honestly kind of traumatizing. Anyways, after that, I moved back to Indianapolis, Indiana. Go Pacers. Back with my dad at 15. And that was pretty much my childhood. After that, I ended up moving to Oregon City, Oregon, to kind of have a new life for myself. And that is where I met my wife, Jonah Keen. And we got married shortly after. We were both 18 when we got married. And it was a beautiful wedding. And then we had 2 children, Johnny and Sarah, respectively. And my life was pretty much perfect. And I say was because then shortly thereafter, Jenna divorced me and pretty much left me to fend for myself. She was pretty much the one making all the money. I like when she made the money. And, she kind of left me to just fend for myself and give advice, which is really the only skill I have. I don't really know how to do most things, but advice is not, advice is one thing that I do know how to do. So pretty much I've been kind of homeless for the past, I don't know, give or take 2 years or so. And recently I've decided I needed to go to school. That is why I'm not getting jobs. That's why I'm homeless. I need to go to school and learn some new skills, which is why I decided to come to Radio Depaul and come on the Jonah Keen, make the Jonah Keen Show as well. But also I went to Depaul to gain some new skills. And the skill I've decided to pursue, my major, is I'm going to be a theater student. And hopefully that will be able to open up some new opportunities for me. My dream job ever since I was a little kid was to teach people how to do stage combat on the stage. And It's always been a dream of mine, and I think it will be quite fantastic if I major in that and learn some new skills and hopefully get a job here at Depaul. I'm 25, by the way, for people asking, and I'm sure they're curious. Um, anyways, I actually have a special guest today. I know. It's very exciting and it's very revolutionary. No other radio show has ever had a guest before. Let's see if he's here. Terry? Terry? Okay, I think he's here. All right. Today's episode, I am bringing in my own father, Terry Keen. Welcome to the show.
Terry here.
Terry is my dad, and he's all the way back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Go Pacers! And I
Go Bulls! Go Bulls! Big Bull fan here.
Go Pacers! And pretty much, he owns his own car automotive shop, and he works on
It's
cars.
a car dealership.
Sorry, it's a car dealership, and he's my father.
We don't fix them. We don't fix the cars. You should know this. You should know this by now.
But pretty much I brought him onto the show to talk about parenting because he is my own father. As most of you know by now, he is my dad, and he is pretty cool, and I think he would have some great advice to give to my audience. So,
of course I have great advice. First advice, you should take over the family business instead of doing this stupid podcast.
I don't remember asking. I'm going to be asking the questions, and that's not related to any questions I have for today.
Okay, well, I have my own question, but we'll get to those later.
All right. Well, I think I should go right ahead with my questions, and I don't think we'll be working on your questions. It's my show, Dad, and I worked really hard on these questions. I spent a solid 3 minutes writing these down. And I think my questions are much more important than your questions because this, just like how I don't sell cars, you don't ask questions on my podcast. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Wow, this is just dragging on. Okay, get on with it.
Fine, sorry. How was it raising a young man like myself?
I'll tell you, the car dealership is a lucrative business. The podcast business is not. Here's what I do. I bring in used cars. I buy them sometimes high, sometimes low. For example, you can buy a 1994 blue Ford Taurus for about $2,500. Now, I can turn around and sell that Taurus for $5,000 sometimes. That is over a $3,500 profit. I don't think you make that in podcasts.
Well, actually, I haven't made any money in podcasts yet. I'm still...
Yeah, exactly my point. Unbelievable.
It's
everybody. Everybody out there. Are they listening to us right now?
They're listening.
Okay. Why will you not take the family business? Terry Keen, Keen Automotive Sales and Service. Terry Keen, Sales Automotive Service. That's what I was going to call it. Now, you could have your name on there.
Terry and Jonah Keen, Sales and Service?
Terry Keen, Terry Jonah Keen, whatever you want to call
it. Well, Dad, I'm not too into cars. I'm more into advice. And that's more my thing. And you know this, we've had this conversation before. Last time we even spoke was 5 years ago when I got married. But last time we talked about this, I did say I'm more interested in other things, not making money at the automotive dealership.
Whatever. Okay, question number 2.
All right. Question 2.
How would you describe a parent's day-to-day routine?
All right, my routine every day is this: get up, have a cigarette, just to wake up, cup of coffee, and then I get in the car and drive to the shop. This is Terry Keen Automotive. This is where the money happens. This is buying the new cars. I'm looking in the newspaper. I'm looking on the how you call it, the Craigslist, his list. I'm looking on there, finding the deals, sourcing them. I'm an investor. This is what I do. And then I pull the trigger. You got to have cash in hand. I show up. I'm making a deal. I'm wheeling, dealing, talking them down in price. You know how it is. You just I'm a natural at it. I'm just good. And get them down in price. Buy a car, bring it back. Maybe run it through the laundromat or whatever. Get it rinsed off so that it's really looking nice. Maybe throw one of them silly little green trees in there to make it smell all nice. Try to vacuum up the cigarettes, and then you sell it. And man, the profits are good. Yesterday, in fact, it's funny you mentioned this. Yesterday alone, I made over $648 on one car, one individual car.
One car.
So that's a day. That's a day, right there.
That
Think
is,
about it. Think about it. If you had 30 days in a month and you made $100 every day, that's over $5,000. That's hard to beat.
I guess that's true, but still, my heart is with advice. And that's where I'm at right now.
Well, I just gave you advice. I just gave it to you.
You're not the advice guy. I'm the advice guy. You're the Terry Keen automotive guy. I think it's that
Terry
simple,
Keen
Dad.
Automotive. Get the word out. Come see me, Terry Keen Automotive.
In Indianapolis, Indiana, everyone. Check it out. Go Pacers.
I'll slap you next time you say that again.
What does it mean to be a father?
To be a father, that
Yeah.
means, these are dumb questions. It means you made a little whoopee with the wife, the girlfriend, whatever. Slipped one by the goalie, and you got a kid. That's a dad. That's being a father.
Well, what does it mean to raise a child like me? I was a baby once, and now look at me, 23 years old. I was a baby once. You made me. What does that mean? What does it? I, I'm looking for something deeper here, Dad.
I mean, what do you want from me? You were a baby, yeah. The bottles, all that stuff. I saw you every now and then. Your mom, she took you over to Minnesota for a couple years, and then after that, I don't know. You were a little guy, and then you grew up. Um, that's really my advice. Is just just be, just do, do what you can.
Fine, fine. I'll take that one. That was better than the first answer you gave me. So, what advice would you give to new fathers?
Uh, run. You talk about just cry and cry. You had the cowlick. You had the cowlick where you just cry. Man, you cried. So new fathers, man, run for
I
the
did
hills.
not cry. I did not cry. I was a very polite baby, and I'm a polite gentleman right now.
I saw you cry. The last time I saw you 5 years ago is when the Bulls were playing the Pacers, and we were whooping. They were whooping the tar out of them, and you literally were crying. as a 20, what do we get? 5 years ago. How old are you now?
I'm 24. You should know this, Dad.
So 5 years ago, you were 21 and you were crying, a grown man crying.
I don't think that's a funny thing. I'm a big Pacer fan. Go Pacers. And
It was a preseason game. It meant nothing, even though we just beat the tar out of you.
it does mean
terrible.
excuse me, it did mean something. It's called feeling good, feeling confident for the season. The preseason is important, just like you need to practice before the games. Practices mean something, and so does preseason games, including the Pacers.
Well, if you want confidence, I would not be a Pacer fan. There's some advice.
You're too busy working on cars to even care about softball or whatever the Pacers play.
Ay. Hey, hold on. Hold on. I got Mike. No, Mike. Put it over there. Come on. Put it over there. I got the guy coming in with the new car. Hold on. Tell your listeners to hold on. Mike, bring it back. Okay. All right, go ahead. You were saying something.
Oh no, I was feeling a little upset, flustered even, when you said those negative things about the Pacers, when I really do think you don't even pay attention to sports. I'm busy watching the Pacers play on pretty much every night at Dave and Buster's on the big screen, and you're busy working on cars and all that jazz, which I think is tearing away our father-son relationship a little bit.
Well, yeah, making money, and you want to know what? You know what? I live right now in my house in Indiana is worth over $164,000. It's a double wide mobile home, but it has granite countertops, 2 bathrooms, 2. The house you grew up had 1. I mean, I'm moving up.
Well, our house when I growing up couldn't move. Mobile home, that's a mobile home. It moves around. And
Mobile homes are the most valuable homes out there because then you can pick them up, put them wherever you want. I can put this thing by the lake tomorrow. You want to talk about value? Yeah, you can't move another normal house. That's stupid.
Well, I think having a backyard and a front yard and knowing where your address is when you're always moving, you don't know what your address is what I'm saying. And I really miss my childhood home, and you're really upsetting me right now.
Well, maybe you can cry yourself to sleep on your big Pacer pillow.
Excuse me, my Pacer pillow, you burnt it when the Pacers lost. That's why I was crying the first time. And I can't really afford a new one right now because 1, the mold in my apartment has gotten out of control. 2, I'm still paying the lawyer fees for the divorce. And 3, everything else I make goes straight into Dave and Buster's fund. And so I can't afford a new Pacers pillow right now, so that's a little hurtful of you.
Well, yeah, you cry like a baby when you're 24 years old. I'm going to burn your pillow. No regrets there. You should never got divorced because you should have never married her in the first place. The lady was a psycho.
Jenna she's a beautiful woman, and she was the provider of the family.
Beautiful woman? That's what you say?
Jenna is a beautiful woman, and she gave birth to 2 beautiful children, Johnny and Sarah, and they are wonderful children. And she was the provider, she was a police officer, and I was the stay-at-home dad. And I think things turned out, right now for the worst, but I think our marriage was a complete success. I don't know why you're making a comment on that right now.
Yeah, success. Great success. Unbelievable success. I'll tell you about success. You want to talk about a Chevy Nova? I sold one last week, made $417 and didn't even try. That's success. You could learn something. Take notes. Get on your paper there. Take a note.
I actually have had a recent run-in with success when I had my podcast uploaded for the first time on the very first episode, 124 listens.
Wow. La-di-da. I'll tell you what I got $124 for the other day was selling a Chevy Astrovan. Now, you could learn something from that if you took over Terry Keen Auto. But no, you want to do these silly little radio shows and load them up onto the interwebs and whatever. I don't even know how this works. But I'll tell you what's not working is you. You don't work.
Oh, well, I technically am jobless. That is correct, but I am working on this podcast, and I do think it will be big in the future. Just gotta wait and see.
Yeah, because you have some riveting advice.
I give great advice, and you know it.
This is the worst advice I've ever heard. I'll give you one more piece of advice here, folks. Listen in. Listen carefully here, because this is the grand finale. If you buy a Pontiac Firebird 1984, you can sell that and make just over $749 in one attempt. Are you crying on the phone again?
Dad,
Every time we
you
talk,
called
you
my
cry.
you called my advice bad, Dad. I've been working really hard on this advice.
I
Ralph
call a
and
spade
David
a spade. You cry every time we talk. This is no surprise to me.
Ralph and David Busters said I gave great advice, and now you don't think I have great advice? Have you been listening to the other podcasts?
Ralph was probably 14 Miller Lights in when he gave you that advice. That's what I think of Ralph. Okay.
He doesn't drink Miller. He drinks Coors.
Okay, he's a drunk if he gave you that kind of feedback. All right. I have to go sell a car. Mike! Mike! Move it over there! I gotta go. This isn't working for me. Yeah, cry yourself to sleep on your non-basic pillow because I'll burn that thing again.
Shut up. Shut up.
Why? I kicked him off, guys. There is no more Terry Keen here, but why? Why would he say such a thing? My advice is good. I know you guys are new to the show and don't really know exactly what my advice is yet, or I haven't really given any yet, but it's great advice. I've studied long and hard, and you even heard it in the intro. I give great advice. Other kids did sports, and they did theater, and they did math club. I did advice when I was a teenager. That's what I did. That was my thing. So, of course, it's good. I kicked him off. I swear, every time I talk to my dad, he just finds some sick way to get under my skin and make me cry. And he burnt my pacer pillow. I don't know if you heard that, but that also made me kind of mad. It's really why I don't really talk to him that much anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I need to take a deep breaths. Okay. Well, what should we talk about? Here's some college advice I've been thinking about recently. I'm sure all of you listening are DePaul students or know of DePaul and know of college. And I've really been thinking ever since I've been here. It's my first year here at DePaul. I've been thinking about college-themed advice and advice I can give to college students. And, well, I've come up with a few different things. Number one would be, let me think. Would be to always do your homework. I have been doing my homework as best as I can, but when I get behind on homework, it gets a little frustrating and a little stressful. And sometimes it gets a little hard. So I mean, it makes sense. Here's something I'd say for college freshmen would be to know what things you need for like a college dorm when you first move in. Like they give you lists for to fill up your dorm with different furniture and stuff. I think that's that's some great just normal regular advice. And also when you come into college, you want to be able to have an idea of what you want to study. Because I mean, declaring your major immediately upon getting accepted into college is not life or death. In fact, I think, if I remember this right, 30% of college students in the United States change their major within 3 years of enrolling in college. So I mean, that's not a number to scoff at. And also, if you're a college student, you may want to get a job. Well, you need to know when and how to get a job. Depending on the person, applying for a job right away can either be very stressful or very helpful. So maybe don't get a job right away. You might need a few weeks to understand your course load before adding a job into the mix. So just make sure you even yourself out. Don't overwork yourself. Take some time in to soak in some advice or whatever you do in your free time. That's what I like to do. But everyone has their own thing. But that's just a few college-themed advice tips I've been thinking about. Also, I'd recommend joining a club if you can. I don't know. There's plenty of clubs out there, and I can't really think of any off the top of my head except maybe math club. But joining a club to make new friends is always a great piece of advice. I've heard it from many folks. I've heard it from my professors, and I would recommend doing it as well. Okay. It looks like time is just about out over here. I'm going to play the outro for you guys, and then, I guess I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Jonah Keen podcast. Take care, everyone.